Welcome back, everyone, to the 15th episode of 3 Points with Carroll College Basketball. I'm here with Coach Ryan Lundgren. We're in the Jerry Lohendorf events room. We hang out during game day if you are a Saints fan. Coach, how you feeling today?
Feeling good. We're been playing well, and guys are really confident heading into the stretch here. And we have some very tough tests coming up, as most Frontier games are. But feel good about where we're at as a team and the direction we're headed. So.
For sure, and now we'll just jump right into how y'all have been playing really well recently. First things first, just always looking back I'm going to look back 2 games. You went up to Havre, your first trip up to Havre, I believe, MSU Northern. Got a win there. Andrew Cook led the team in scoring. So just what was it like playing up there, and how did you feel about the team's effort?
It's a tough place to play. I mean, I'd heard it from everybody, and looked through scores. I think Northern actually swept us last year. It's difficult place to win, and you know why. It's a long trip. They get a great crowd. It's a smaller town, so everybody comes out and supports the team, which is awesome. And Coach Hughes does an unbelievable job. I've said it since the start of the season. He's as good of a coach as there is in this league, and he always gets his teams ready to play. And we didn't play very well in the first half. I think we gave up almost 50 points. And only held them to 25 in the second half. So we really buckled down and defended at a high level and made our free throws down the stretch. And, Kendall and Isaiah Moore both made some big threes late in that game to kind of put it away for us. So, lucky to get out of there with the win because we didn't play our best the first half. And then, bounce back, quick turnaround with a long travel day, obviously getting in around 2 a.m. on Friday, and then having to prep for a really good Western team who's they've played very, very well. And it was a tight game again, but again, kind of defense and free throw shooting really kind of won the day for us. We got stops when we needed to, and I think we shot 27 free throws, and if my memory serves me right, we made 24 of them. So when you can do that and capitalize at the line as much as we get fouled with throwing the ball inside and attacking the rim, we're a tough team to beat. So that win was big. It clinched us a top 2 seed in the conference tournament. And so we're a game behind Tech, and we got them this week. But we got Providence coming up first on Thursday. So another difficult week with 2 really good teams.
Yeah, and you already kind of jumped into a few things we were already going to talk about. That Montana Western win was a big win. Also, Isaiah Moore, as you said, in that Northern game, he's been a guy who's really filled some big shoes. He's kind of came on us late, as some Saints fans have noticed. But, yeah, that Western win was big. And with the free throws down the stretch, really helped your team get the win, especially when you hit that end point where you have the lead and you start getting fouled. But your guys went down the line. I kind of was reminiscing when we were broadcasting that when we were looking at who would be fouled on the Saints, like who would a different team want to go. But most of the guys really good for those shooters. But just still kind of looking back overall, one guy I have to ask you about, obviously we've talked about him all season, Andrew Cook. He's a phenomenal player. We knew that coming in. He was an all-conference guy. But this year, and especially even maybe in a conference play, it feels like he's made an even bigger jump than it was expected. Leads all the Frontier in scoring. 3-time Frontier Conference Player of the Week. I think a lot of those have been since conference play, and he's kind of now at a point where it's obviously leading the conference in scoring, but just nationally is kind of a guy who's up there in the ranks as you look at the end of the year. But just especially these last couple of weeks when it's come to you needed him to help close out Frontier games. Just what have you seen from Andrew?
Yeah, I've said it so many times, and it's almost like it's a broken record because people ask so much about him, and he just continues to play at such a high level. And the thing that I keep going back to is just his competitive drive. He just wants to win so bad, and when we need a bucket, you can physically see him just put his head down and go and make a play. And that's really what sums him up, is he knows what our team needs and when they need it. And he's able to get to his shot. He's able to make tough shots. I've really challenged him to get better rebounding the ball, which he's done. And another thing that I challenged him when I took the job was just to improve his outside shot, which he's also done. Because you watch his film from last year, and he loves the mid-range jump shot. And I would never want to take that away from a player, but when you're shooting 1 or 2 feet in front of the 3-point line for 2, and you can move back 1 or 2 feet, and it's worth an extra point, it's a big deal. And I think that was maybe more of a mental block for him, that he never really shot a lot of threes, and now he's getting to the point where I don't know what his percentage is at exactly, but it's climbing by the day. And you really got to defend him out there, which brings a whole new element to his game, because now when you have to press up on him on the three-point line, he's able to go by you and make plays for himself and others. So, but, he's got the ultimate respect of his teammates just because of his competitive nature, and he's really doing it all for us right now, and he's playing at a high level.
For sure, and you talked about three-pointers. Definitely, his percentage has went up this year. And moving on, also just kind of looking back with this team. Obviously, your first year in the gig, everyone you had your own internal expectations of this team, and all through the non-conference schedule you played, obviously on this show and everywhere else, you reinforced that it was a tough non-conference schedule, a really tough one. And if you look back, like Segu, a team you beat here at home, they're ranked now this week, and then obviously played teams like Arizona Christian and whatnot. But obviously, your team is bought in, and then now in the conference play, you're 9-2 overall. Your 2 losses are to nationally ranked Tech. Just what has it taken for this team? Obviously, the non-conference schedule definitely played into, how hard your results were going to be. But just what has this team done now that you've hit conference play to really help them kind of have a stronghold on the second spot in the conference right now?
I think the biggest thing is just belief in each other. They haven't. They never quit, and it would have been easy for them. I vividly remember, and we've talked about it, after the second game at the Cactus Classic, whatever that was, it probably would have been around December 16th or 17th. We were 3-7. We had just lost a close game to the Masters, and it was really a fork in the road for our team. It was like, hey, man, we've dropped a ton of close games. You guys have been right there in every single game we've played. We have to stay together. We have to keep believing, and we have to keep getting better, because we knew that if we had that mindset, we could do some great things in conference play. And we had a day off after that, and then we ended up playing Mid-America Nazarene and beat them by 1. They haven't lost since, so I think they're on a 14-game win streak, and they're up into the top 15 or 16 in the country. And then that just really propelled us into the post-Christmas games. We had Lakeland, and we had Sagu, who was a good team, and then we got into conference, and we've I think since that Mid-America game, we've won 12 out of 14. So if I had to put one thing on it, it's just these guys are unbelievable people, and they really do truly care about each other. And when you have a group that gets along as well as these guys do, and they really don't care about individual success, but they're so driven to win, you just have different guys stepping up all the time. James Lane goes down. Trent Rogers hasn't played in 4 games. He comes in and gives us a great 3-game stretch when James is out. Zane's down right now for the time being, and Derek's come back and really given us great minutes. Isaiah Moore's come on as of late. So it's kind of been a next man up mentality, and the fact that they've stuck together through the tough times has led us to where we're at now and being positioned in a great spot going down the stretch.
Yeah, that's some great insight, Coach. Obviously, you kind of always look at different seasons, and you can kind of see when teams start to go on a winning streak, kind of when there was a turning point in there. So you can kind of even pinpoint it, which is great. And obviously, always looking at a point, too. Looking forward now, obviously, can only reminisce so much. You got some big games coming up for this team. Frontier Conference, you play teams 3 times. We're in the chunk where you play the teams for the 3rd time. First things first, tomorrow night you'll be taking on Providence, a team you beat twice. Obviously, the Western's a team that for the first time you beat a team 3 times last week. But so now you have to beat Providence 3 times. It's a hard thing to do in basketball regardless. We've talked about that team individually, so just what do you have to do to beat this team 3 times?
Well, my message to the guys has been, going into that Western game and really every game when you get to the 3rd time around, we know everything they're going to do, and they know everything we're going to do. So it really comes down to, who's going to be the toughest team for 40 minutes, who's going to be the grittiest team, who's going to play smart basketball. And we've been able to do that, I still don't feel like we've truly put together a 40-minute performance where we just are clicking on all cylinders, but we are getting closer and closer to that every day. We know the challenge ahead with Providence. They're a very dangerous team. They beat Tech by double digits. They're the only team in the league to beat them. But when their guards are feeling good, they're difficult to defend because they can go by you, and you got to help, and then it creates open shots, and they can shoot the 3 well too. So we just have to continue to do what we do, which is control the glass as well as anybody in the league, and defend the guys that can hurt us. And and make sure on the other end we're making them pay and we're really grinding them out on offense. So I think if we can do those things, we have a chance.
Yep, and then after that, obviously moving in a little less schematically, just looking overall at Montana Tech, obviously talked about they only have one loss in the league. They have the top spot. When you got them here at home, you played a really good game against them, probably besides that Providence game, the best game anyone's played against them in conference, but they eventually got the win. And then when you played them second time, it was your first trip down to Butte there, and they played it really well. They played like a top 10 in the team country like they are, and beat you down there. So you do get down there. You do get the third time as a charm. It is your third game against them, but it is on the road against Butte, so or in Butte. So just what do you have to do? Maybe similar to the first time you played them, or different from the second time you played them to beat that Montana Tech team.
Yeah, they're a really good team. You know, we got our butts handed to us down there last time. I mean, we were on our heels from the start, and I think the atmosphere got to us a little bit. Some of those guys who hadn't been there before, and then credit to them, we went on some great runs in that game, but we couldn't stop them consistently. They were making shots, they were clicking on all cylinders, and it was their night. And it's not like it's a fluke because they've beat a lot of teams that way in this conference. So we know the task at hand. Go in there. They're 10th in the country. They're as good as anybody in the country, and they're a lot of older guys who've been together a long time. So we know we can play with them. We just have to go down there and play with confidence and play together. And you got to make some shots on the road, which is hard to do. So, but defending and rebounding has been two things that we've been really good at in league play. And if we can do those things well, it'll keep us in every game. But my message to the guys, it's really easy to look at that Tech game and get excited because it's a big rivalry and it means so much. But this game tomorrow is what we need to focus all of our energy on, and then we can move on. Once 9 p.m., 10 p.m. hits on Thursday night, then we can start shifting our focus to Tech. But yeah, it's going to be two entertaining and challenging basketball games this week.
Yeah, and you kind of hit on some things you have to do kind of looking forward. Obviously, it's always so hard to win on the hit shots on the road is hard in the Frontier, but obviously you have to win at home, something y'all have done 9-1 at home. But just looking forward with this team, obviously you don't want to look too far, but it seems like, basketball, obviously talk about like clicking at the right time, getting hot at the right time, especially for not too far out on a couple weekends from now, the Frontier Conference tournament up in Great Falls. But what are just some of the key things that you think you need to maybe continue to do or start doing if you want to be where you want to be at for that Frontier Conference tournament?
Well, we're number one in the conference in rebound margin, and that was one of my big things coming in, taking this job, talking about being the best rebounding team in the league, and these guys have lived up to that. And I still think there's room for growth. I think I've really challenged guys like Kendall and some of our guards, even Gee, to go get more rebounds. And I think once they kind of take that next step, we'll be an elite rebounding team. So rebounding and defense really travels. It doesn't matter where you play, and it keeps you in games. And I really, really hope this team gets a chance to play for a national tournament, because they're number one, they're very deserving of it. They've showed that they can play with anybody in the country, and you could make the argument they're as hot as anybody in the country right now. So, obviously make things easy and try to win your conference tournament and get that automatic bid. But if we do stumble and fall short of that, I think we're putting together a pretty good resume that you could make a very strong argument that we're a national tournament team. So. We just have to take it one day at a time and then be ready for, fourth time around when we get to the conference tourney. But these guys are pretty mature and they've handled things with a kind of a workman's-like mentality, and we just have to continue to do that down the stretch.
For sure, and yeah, the resume is something you point out. It's interesting, always interesting at any level of college basketball, kind of how national tournament scene shakes up. But the resume for Carroll College, just look at that non-conference. It's a good one. Play some tough teams for sure. But that's all I have for looking back on the past. So obviously, third question is Valentine's Day. So I got a great hypothetical for you here. So let's say you do make the national tournament, and you're about to play for a national championship, right? And you get there and maybe the court floods or something. So in this scenario, the head of the national tournament committee or whatever comes up and says, Coach, we need you to send one of your players to a speed dating event, right? And if they come back from the speed dating event with a date, one of your players on the team, then you get the trophy. You win the national championship. But if they don't come back from the speed dating event with a date, then maybe the other team gets it or their player comes back with a date. So who on the Saints do we think could go to a speed dating event and come out and win you guys a national tournament by maybe securing a date?
Well, I'm just going to go based on what the guys always say. They say James Lang is a ladies' man. I'm sure it's that curly hair and those blue eyes he's got. he's popular with the ladies, so I'm going to defer to the players, and we'll go with James Lang.
For sure. I mean, if you watch him play too, I can see how it'd be, he's a fun player to watch too. So
Yep.
that's all
Yep.
I got for you today, Coach. Good luck in your future games. Thanks for answering all my questions.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.